My dear friends, I want to share something with you today that might surprise you. Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, perhaps with your morning coffee, thinking you're doing everything right for your health. You've been eating all those foods the doctors tell you are good for you. The broccoli, the grapefruit for breakfast, that whole wheat bread, your daily glass of milk for strong bones. But what if I told you that some of these very foods, these champions of healthy eating, might actually be working against you after age 65? What if the fatigue you've been feeling, the digestive troubles you've attributed to just getting older, or even the way your medications don't seem to work quite right? What if some of this isn't just age at all? Today, I'm going to take you on a journey. Not a scary one, but an enlightening one. We're going to explore the stories of 4 remarkable people, folks just like you, who discovered that sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is question what you've always been told is healthy. I'm not here to frighten you or tell you to throw out everything in your kitchen. Goodness, no. I'm here because I believe you deserve to feel your absolute best. And sometimes that means looking at familiar foods through wiser, more experienced eyes. So pour yourself that cup of tea, get comfortable, and let me tell you about broccoli and 3 other surprising foods that might need a second look in your golden years. The broccoli revelation. When good intentions meet reality. You know, it's funny how certain foods become heroes in our minds. Broccoli is one of those heroes, isn't it? That bright green vegetable we've been told to eat since we were children. Eat your broccoli, our mother said. It's good for you, and it is good for you in many ways. But here's what nobody talks about. Your 65-year-old digestive system isn't the same as your 35-year-old one. The rules have changed, even if nobody handed you the new playbook. Let me tell you about 3 other foods that might surprise you. And then we'll come back to our green friend with fresh eyes. A gentle approach to understanding. Now, before we dive deeper, I want you to know something important. This isn't about fear. This isn't about taking away all the foods you love. This is about understanding your body better, about listening to what it's trying to tell you. Your body is incredibly wise. It's been with you for decades, and it knows things. Sometimes we just need to slow down enough to hear what it's saying. So let's approach this with curiosity, not worry, and see what we can learn together. Chapter 1. Robert's Broccoli Story. Let me tell you about Robert. Robert is 73, a retired high school history teacher from Vermont. You'd like Robert. He's got one of those warm laughs that fills a room, and he still wears his old-school tie to community events. Robert prided himself on healthy eating. Every single day, like clockwork, he'd steam a large serving of broccoli for dinner. If a little is good, more must be better, he'd tell his wife, Martha. And who could argue with that logic when it comes to vegetables? But Robert had been struggling. For months, he'd been battling persistent bloating that left him uncomfortable after every meal. He'd wake up feeling sluggish, that low-grade fatigue that seemed to settle in his bones. His doctor ran tests. Everything came back normal. Probably just part of getting older, they said. Martha wasn't convinced. She'd watched her husband of 48 years, and she knew this wasn't just aging. That's when they met Dr. Sarah Chen, a geriatric nutrition specialist at the Burlington Medical Center. Dr. Chen listened to Robert's story with the kind of attention that makes you feel heard. Then she said something that surprised them both. "Robert, tell me about your broccoli." Here's what Dr. Chen explained, and it changed everything for Robert. As we age, our digestive enzymes naturally decline. That's just biology. The same tough fibers in broccoli that are wonderful for a younger digestive system can become challenging for our more mature systems to break down. Those glucosinolates, the compounds that give broccoli its cancer-fighting properties, can sometimes irritate sensitive stomach linings, especially if you have any reflux issues. And Robert did, though he'd never connected it to his beloved vegetable. It's not about giving up broccoli, Dr. Chen explained gently. It's about working with your body, not against it. She suggested Robert try an experiment. Instead of raw or lightly steamed broccoli, cook it thoroughly until it's truly tender. Reduce the portion size to about half a cup. And instead of every day, try it twice a week. Robert was skeptical. Wouldn't he lose all the nutrients? Dr. Chen smiled. Robert, the best nutrient is the one your body can actually use comfortably. Within 3 weeks, Robert noticed the difference. The constant bloating eased. That afternoon, fatigue began to lift. I thought I was just getting old, he told Martha one evening. Turns out, I was just eating like I was still 35. The lesson wasn't that broccoli is bad. The lesson was that Robert's body needed a gentler approach to this nutritious vegetable. Chapter 2. Margaret's Grapefruit Wake-Up Call. Now let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret lives in a charming little house in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where she tends the most beautiful garden you've ever seen. At 68, she's got energy that puts people half her age to shame, or at least she did, until last spring. Margaret had a morning ritual she absolutely loved. Every day for 15 years, she'd start with half a fresh grapefruit while reading the newspaper on her sun-drenched porch. It was her moment of peace, her healthy start to the day. When Margaret's doctor prescribed a new blood pressure medication, she thought nothing of it. Just another part of taking care of herself as she aged. But within a week, something wasn't right. She began experiencing dizzy spells when she stood up. Her heart would race at odd moments, even when she was just sitting in her garden. One afternoon, while watering her roses, she felt so lightheaded she had to sit down right there on the garden path. That's when her neighbor, Tom, a retired pharmacist, asked her a simple question. Margaret, are you still eating that grapefruit every morning? Tom explained something that shocked her. Grapefruit contains natural compounds called furanocoumarins that can dramatically interfere with how your body processes certain medications. These compounds can cause some medications to build up to dangerous levels in your bloodstream, while making others less effective. The list of affected medications is extensive: blood pressure drugs, cholesterol medications, anti-anxiety prescriptions, even some antihistamines. The FDA has warnings about this, but somehow this crucial information often gets lost in the shuffle of our busy medical appointments. Margaret immediately called her doctor, who confirmed Tom's concern. I should have asked about grapefruit specifically, her physician admitted. It's one of those interactions we need to be more vigilant about, especially with seniors who often take multiple medications. The solution was simpler than Margaret expected. She switched her morning ritual to a beautiful orange, or a bowl of mixed berries. Both gave her the vitamin C she wanted without the dangerous interaction. Within days, the dizzy spells stopped. Her heart rhythm returned to normal. Margaret was back to her energetic self, tending her garden with confidence. I learned something important, Margaret told her garden club ladies a few weeks later. Always tell your doctor about everything you eat regularly, even if it seems healthy. And always ask specifically about grapefruit interactions with any new medication. Margaret's story isn't rare. It's a reminder that even the most natural, healthy foods can sometimes work against us when combined with the medications many of us need as we age. Chapter 3. David's Fiber Dilemma. David's story takes us to Phoenix, Arizona, where this 77-year-old retired engineer decided to take his health into his own hands. David had always been methodical. It's what made him successful in his career, and he applied the same approach to his health. When David read about the importance of fiber for digestive health and heart health, he dove in head first. He switched to the highest fiber cereal he could find, one that boasted 15 grams of fiber per serving. He replaced all his bread with dense, whole wheat varieties. He was determined to get his recommended daily fiber, and then some. If fiber is good, David reasoned, more fiber must be better. Within 2 weeks, David was miserable. Instead of the improved digestion he expected, he was constantly bloated and uncomfortable. He experienced cramping that kept him up at night. Paradoxically, despite all that fiber, he became constipated. He started avoiding social gatherings because he never knew when discomfort would strike. David's daughter, Linda, a nurse practitioner, watched her father struggle with concern. She suggested he see Dr. Patricia Williams, a geriatric specialist who understood the unique nutritional needs of seniors. Dr. Williams listened to David's story and nodded knowingly. "David, your approach is admirable, but your digestive system has some thoughts about this plan." She explained that, as we age, our digestive systems become more sensitive, not less. Suddenly overwhelming them with large amounts of insoluble fiber, the kind found in bran and dense whole wheat products, can cause exactly the problems David was experiencing. Moreover, some whole grains contain higher levels of lectins, proteins that can bind to the intestinal lining and cause inflammation in sensitive individuals. For many seniors, this can trigger digestive distress rather than digestive health. The key, Dr. Williams explained, is understanding that not all fiber is the same, and your body needs time to adjust to changes. She recommended David start over, but gently this time. Instead of that ultra-high fiber cereal, try regular oatmeal with berries. The soluble fiber in oats is much gentler on a mature digestive system. Switch to sourdough bread or lighter whole grain options. The fermentation process in sourdough actually reduces some of the problematic compounds. Most importantly, increase water intake significantly when eating any fiber, and make changes gradually over weeks, not days. David followed Dr. Williams's advice, increasing fiber slowly and focusing on gentler sources. He started with half a cup of oatmeal, added berries, and drank plenty of water throughout the day. The transformation was remarkable. Within a month, David felt comfortable again. He could enjoy meals with friends without worry. "I learned that healthy doesn't have to mean uncomfortable," he reflected. Sometimes the wisest approach is the gentlest one. Chapter 4. Susan's Dairy Discovery. Our final story brings us to Susan, a vibrant 70-year-old retired art teacher living in coastal Maine. Susan had beautiful silver hair and paint-stained fingers that told the story of a life spent creating. She was also a woman who followed health advice to the letter. For decades, Susan dutifully drank a large glass of milk every morning and evening. "For my bones," she'd explain to anyone who'd listen. Her mother had told her this. Her doctor had reinforced it, and Susan was nothing if not consistent. But Susan had been struggling with increasing digestive issues for the past 2 years. Bloating after meals, uncomfortable gas, and bouts of diarrhea that seemed to come from nowhere. She also noticed her energy levels dropping, a persistent fatigue that made her afternoon painting sessions feel like a chore rather than a joy. Susan's doctor ran numerous tests. Everything came back normal. Probably just part of getting older. was the familiar refrain. But Susan's daughter, a nutritionist, had a different theory. "Mom," she said gently during one of their weekly phone calls, "what if we tried something? What if you stopped dairy for just 2 weeks and see how you feel?" Susan was horrified. "But my bones, I need the calcium." Her daughter explained something Susan had never heard before. Lactose intolerance often develops or worsens as we age. Our bodies naturally produce less lactase, the enzyme needed to digest lactose, the sugar in milk, as we get older. This is completely normal, but it can cause exactly the symptoms Susan was experiencing. Reluctantly, Susan agreed to try the experiment. She replaced her morning and evening milk with fortified almond milk. She continued eating small amounts of aged cheese, which her daughter explained are naturally low in lactose. The change was dramatic. Within 5 days, Susan's digestive issues began to calm. By the end of 2 weeks, she felt like a different person. The afternoon fatigue that had been plaguing her lifted. She found herself excited about painting again, staying at her easel for hours without discomfort. It was like a fog had lifted, Susan told her art class friends. "I had no idea that my healthy habit was actually working against me." Susan's story has a happy ending. She now enjoys fortified plant-based milks that provide the same calcium and vitamin D as dairy milk, without the digestive distress. She occasionally enjoys hard, aged cheeses and yogurt with active cultures, which are often better tolerated. "I thought I was falling apart," Susan reflects now. "But I was just eating foods my body couldn't handle anymore. The solution was so much simpler than I expected." Your personal path forward. Embracing wisdom. So, here we are, my friends, at the end of our journey together. We've met Robert with his broccoli, Margaret and her grapefruit, David and his fiber adventure, and Susan's dairy discovery. 4 different people, 4 different stories, but one common thread. The foods they thought were helping them were actually holding them back. This isn't about fear, and it's not about giving up everything you enjoy. It's about something much more powerful. It's about listening to your body with the wisdom that comes with experience. You've lived in your body for 65+ years. You know it better than anyone. Those little signals, the afternoon fatigue, the digestive discomfort, the way you feel after certain meals, those aren't just getting old. They're your body's way of communicating with you. The most important thing you can do is become curious about your own experience. Keep a simple food diary if something doesn't feel right. Talk openly with your doctor about everything you eat regularly, especially if you're on medications. Remember, the healthiest diet is the one that makes you feel vibrant and comfortable. Sometimes that means adjusting the conventional wisdom to fit your unique, wonderful 65+-year-old self. Trust your body. It's been your faithful companion all these years, and it's still got wisdom to share.